What if I told you that there are actually two different minds living inside your head right now? Seriously, one is this fast, intuitive hero, and the other is a slow, brilliant, but kind of lazy editor. Today, we're going to take a journey into how you actually make decisions, all based on the amazing work of Daniel Kahneman. And you know what? To kick things off, let's put your two minds to the test. Okay, first up, a quick question for you. A bat and a ball cost $1.10 total. The bat costs exactly $1 more than the ball. So how much does the ball cost? Just go with your first instinct. Don't think too hard about it. So, did you say 10 cents? If you did, hey, you're in good company. That's the answer that just pops into almost everyone's head. It feels right, it's easy, and it's completely wrong. The ball actually costs 5 cents. That means the bat, which is $1 more, costs $1.05. And together, that's $1.10. So, what on earth just happened inside your brain? Why did it serve up the wrong answer with so much confidence?
Well, to understand that little mental glitch, we need to meet the two characters that Kahneman says are basically running the show in your head. He calls them System 1 and System 2.
So think of System 1 as your gut reaction artist. It's the part of you that just shouted 10 cents without even thinking. And System 2? That's your lazy editor. It's slow, it's deliberate, and it totally could have checked the math, but, most of the time it just trusts the artist. For better or, in this case, for worse. And here's the real twist. Our fast-thinking hero, System 1, it has these predictable flaws. These aren't just random mistakes. They're systematic errors in our thinking that Kahneman calls cognitive biases. Let's try another one. Was Mahatma Gandhi more or less than 114 years old when he died? Now, obviously, I know you know he wasn't 114, but just answer the question and then take a quick guess at what his actual age of death was. What you just experienced is called the anchoring effect. Even though that number 114 was totally absurd, it secretly acted like an anchor, pulling your private guess way higher than it probably would have been otherwise. Your System 1 just latched onto that number, and it influenced your final judgment without you even noticing. And look, this is why this is so important. This isn't just a fun brain teaser. This bias is used against you all the time. The first price you see for a car or the first salary offer in a negotiation, that number becomes a powerful anchor that shapes the entire conversation from that point on. So these mental shortcuts affect how we think about numbers, for sure. But what about how we feel? That brings us to something even weirder, a really deep paradox in how our minds handle pleasure, pain, and memory. Okay, imagine you find a crisp, unexpected $100 bill. Feels pretty good, right? A nice little bonus for your day. Now imagine you lose a $100 bill. How does that feel? For most of us, the sting of that loss feels way, way more intense than the pleasure of the gain. And this perfectly illustrates a core human bias called loss aversion. The fear of losing something is just a much more powerful motivator than the hope of gaining something of equal value. But believe it or not, it gets even stranger when we look at how this all plays out over time. So to understand this next part, you have to meet two more characters, your two selves. First, there's the experiencing self. It lives completely in the moment. It's the one that feels pain and pleasure right now. But then there's the remembering self. It's the storyteller. It looks back, it writes the narrative of what happened, and this is crucial, it's the one that makes all your future decisions. This was tested in a famous, and let's be honest, pretty cruel experiment. People were given two options. Option A is you stick your hand in painfully cold water for 60 seconds. Option B is you stick your hand in the exact same cold water for 60 seconds, plus an extra 30 seconds where the water warms up just a little bit. Objectively, option B is more total suffering, right? So after people experienced both of these, they were asked which one they would choose to do again. The shorter, less painful one, or the longer, more painful one. Incredibly, most people chose option B. They chose more total pain. Why on earth would they do that? Because the remembering self, the storyteller in your head, doesn't care about how long the pain lasted. It only really cares about two things: the peak moment of pain and, most importantly, how the experience ended. A better ending created a better memory, a better story. And that's what drove the choice, totally betraying the self that actually had to experience it. So if our minds are filled with all these biases and these weird, conflicting selves, are we just doomed to make bad decisions? Well, not entirely. We can actually learn to become the director of our own minds, managing these two characters instead of just being managed by them.
So, what would actually change in your life if you applied some of this? Here are a few tools. First, get in the habit of questioning your first instinct, especially when the stakes are high. Ask yourself, is this a 10-cent answer? Second, seek what's called the outside view. So instead of just focusing on your unique situation, look at the data. What happened to other people in similar situations? And finally, try this one. Perform a premortem. Imagine your plan has already failed spectacularly, and then ask why. It is an amazing way to spot flaws that your own optimism might be hiding from you.
And that all leads to a much bigger final question. We know our minds have these predictable glitches. We know our choices are shaped by how options are presented to us. So if we started designing our systems, everything from the apps on our phone to how doctors present medical choices, with these human biases in mind, could we actually build a fundamentally more rational and maybe even a more humane world? What do you think? Let me know in the comments.